Hey, what is going on, everyone? This is Mohammed, your personal PMP coach from Certified with Ease, coming back to you guys with another brand new video. A lot of you have been messaging me saying, Mohammed, I've watched your 23 mindset video, but I'm still having a tough time implementing the principles. This video is going to be about implementation. We call this the mindset training, and this is what we do with our students, and we have a different approach to it. We have higher quality questions that we use, so it's a little bit different. The questions that we are going to use in this session are from the web, so I'll tell you if it's a good question or it's a bad question, if it's representative of the exam or not. But regardless, we are going to train our mindset so that we develop the PMP mindset, okay? I'm going to link this small training in the description and the comments. Please, guys, watch it. It's 30 minutes, but I promise you it will give you such a foundational understanding of the exam. What to study, what not to study. You'll also have a chance to book an appointment with our team. Shubs, who passed the PMP exam in 12 hours, he will take the call. And what's even more interesting, he had 12 hours, by the way, not 12 days, 12 hours, which is mind-boggling. I don't know how he did it, but he used the principles as well. And he went through our program. You'll have a chance to check it out. It includes everything that you need in order to pass. Nothing extra, guys. We're about efficiency. We want only what you need. You have your key concepts, distilled down into very simple videos of me explaining things. You have your common PMP exam scenarios and how to approach them. You have your PMP mindset, the full pack. We're going to be using our principles in this video. You have the questions, foundational questions breaking down into 60 parts each, drag and drop the most common ones. And you have your non-timed exam simulator, so you can practice without the pressure of the clock, and your timed exam simulator. And of course, you have our support along the way. So without further ado, let us start with the question. So a couple of rules. Number one, we are not going to read the question unless we need to. We are going to jump to the answers. And this is how you train your PMP mindset. Okay? If we need to, we will then read the question. Remember, and I want you to remember this, and for your exam especially, PMP mindset principles is just one part of the puzzle. You have to frame the problem. That's number one. Number two, apply the principles. And number three, choose the best answer that remains, that solves the core problem that you found in step number one completely. Okay? In this video, we are going to start with the answers. We're going to kind of do a reverse and then look at the question if needed. Let us begin. Okay, so A, consult the risk register for an appropriate planned risk response and implement. Okay, I like this. You got consult, which is principle number one. Okay, principle number one, you're taking a step back, the most common principle. You're looking, you're investigating, you're consulting. Risk register, and I'm gonna give you guys a quick hack. I'm assuming this is a risk-related question. If the PMP goes about their way and mentions a tool that's appropriate to the situation, they want you to use that answer. Why? Because they want you to be able to use the appropriate tool at the appropriate situation. All right? And, you're taking action afterwards. So this is principle number one. B, revise the project management plan and move the task to a time when the technical resource will be available. So I didn't read the question yet. The first part, I like revise. The second part, we're not taking action immediately. Rather, we are delaying. We are delaying. We never settle for delays. We eliminate B right off the bat. Review the business requirement with stakeholders and exclude the tasks assigned to technical resource. I like review. I don't like the second part. Excluding tasks. Why is this task even in the project if we're going to exclude it? The task is there because it's important. So I don't like this. I don't like this solution. I like A better. Update the lessons learned report and risk log to reflect that the risk has materialized. Okay. Updating is fine, but you're not using the right tool. Why lessons learned? We're dealing with lessons learned and we're dealing with risk. Okay, no, there's a disconnect there. If they said risk register, they're not even mentioning, so they're saying risk log. They're not even mentioning the right tool, right? So I'm gonna go with A, just from the mindset. Let's see what the answer is. All right, A. So the majority of people chose A. Awesome, okay? So we got it right. We're not going to, or we were able to get to the answer. We're not going to read the question. You can read it in your own time. Let us move on. A, ask the team to create an impediment log and keep it updated for use in the next sprint Planning. Okay. Directed teams to possible solutions that help in removing the impediments and contribute to a timely delivery. Okay. Directed teams. Okay. So directed is a very strong word, but let me just see. I'll explain that later on. If I see something, I see empowered. That's why. Suggested to the team to add impediments as work items in the product backlog to be fixed in the next sprints. All right. Empower the team to improve their processes, tools, interaction to be more effective in in delivery and removing impediments. Okay, so that sounds like a good solution. Now, I'll tell you why. We have a couple of things. We have empowered. You always want to be a servant leader. Empowered is one of the words that you want to look for. Empower the team to improve their processes, tools, and interactions, as opposed to B, directed the teams. B and D are very similar. The wording's a little different though. B says direct. D says empower. I'm going to go with D just based on principle number 3, which is be a servant leader. Okay? Awesome. So remember, guys, we want to develop this mindset. The objective of these questions right now is not to go through everything. All right? You guys can do that on your own time. There's no issue with that. I suggest you do it. But develop the mindset. We're training the mind. We're trying to recognize patterns, keywords, phrases. That's exactly what we want to do. All right? So number 3, include the customer in daily project activities to gain the required guidance. All right, so customers typically, this is not really a principle, but this is more of a concept. Customers don't really have time to be involved in a daily matter. If we're dealing with a sprint, you have your immediate team that's involved in that. So I'm not going to go with A. Plan ahead and define the best way to review the deliverables with the customer. I like that. You're planning, fine. Define the best way to review the deliverables. That's taking a step back. Instead of jumping to a solution like A, including the customer immediately, you're saying, you know what, let me take that step back. Let me see what this customer's needs are. Let me see if this person is available and this and that. B is a good answer. Request the customer to clarify all requirements at the start of each iteration. I mean, okay, fine. You know, that's already done though. That's done before the iteration. That's where you have the product owner that speaks to the customer. So that's fine. Ask the customer to review the deliverables in each iteration based on their availability. Okay, so this is more of an availability type question. No, I'm gonna go with B. If you ask the customer to review the deliverables in each iteration based on their availability, what if they're never available? Or what if they're not available on time? Rather, we want to plan ahead. We want to find the best way. Awesome. Okay, so some people chose D. Cool. Question 4, meet with the design team manager to inform them of the current status and request an additional designer. All right, we're meeting, which is good. Principle number 1. This sounds like a functional organization or a combination matrix organization. Maybe we're out of resources, so we need to speak to the manager. Fine. Ask the software engineer to move forward without completing the important features. I don't want to do that. If it's important for a reason. We need to tackle it right away. We don't want to delay it. Even worse, we don't want to mitigate it or just remove it, right? So this is principle number 2 in a way. It's a branch of it. Contact the design team manager and ask to reconsider the priority list based on the latest situation. Okay, all right. Right, so it seems like the functional manager is kind of pulling away our resource. Let's see what else there is. Meet with the designer to share the current status and develop a solution to complete the task. Oh, this is a solution that I like. I'm going to meet with the designer. The designer is my team member. I'm assuming this person has to leave or something happened to this person. I'm going to understand and let them understand the current situation. And we're going to develop a solution to complete the task, as opposed to just depending on the functional manager. D is a good answer. Awesome. All right, some people chose C. Cool. Okay. If you guys disagree with me on any of the questions, let me know. I'm doing this live. Might get it wrong. So let me know. No issue with it whatsoever. Okay. All right. So this seems like a hybrid type question. So this is not a situation-based question. So we will read the question for number 5. So a project manager is working with customer's team on a new project. Some product definitions and requirements are still not clear, but the customer wants to start activities as soon as possible. The organization is also expecting product delivery for a specific date due to a regulatory requirement. Due to the nature of the project manager has decided to use hybrid approach. Okay, all of that question, none of it is important except for the last part. We decided to use a hybrid approach. Why did the project manager choose a hybrid approach? So this is not really that representative of the exam. They're not going to ask you why. They're going to give you a situation and they're going to ask you what approach should the PM take. But anyways, we'll just solve it. So a hybrid approach will enable project activities start immediately and will allow for a plan for the requirements definition. I mean, that's for every single approach. A hybrid approach will allow the project manager to revise the product specification. That's for every approach. If we don't know the product specifications, then like in agile, for example, then what's the point? A hybrid approach will allow for management of the requirement uncertainties as well as the date restriction. A hybrid approach will ensure the delivery date is accomplished and will eliminate product uncertainties. No. Okay. So yeah, this is a better solution C. We'll be able to manage the requirement uncertainties because the combination of agile and predictive as well as date restriction. Okay. All right. Awesome. So not really a mindset, but okay, let's continue. All right. So this one over here, not really a mindset question as well, but let's solve it just for practice, right? Why not? A project team has expressed concerns that certain remote team members are not able to collaborate with larger project due to their work schedule. The project manager is confused since the entire team is located at the same time zone and believes the other factors at play. Yeah, so people are showing up remote, but they're not actually showing up, right? That's one of the things about remote teams. Anyways, so what should we do next? Okay, so what's the problem statement here? People are not, they're not able to collaborate, but everyone's in the same time zone. So the project manager, this is important, believes that there are different factors at play. What should the project manager do next? Actually, this is principle number 1 in action. If you think about it, I see B, examine the team's virtual needs. Principle number 1. Implement, look at this, implement a new options, rectifying ground rule violations, review performance formally are all actions. They're not good actions, but they're actions that can follow principle number 1. Taking a step back literally is an action in itself, but you're not bringing forth a solution. You are instead analyzing everything. So B is going to be the best answer here. There we go. Okay. Awesome. So let's look at these questions, these answers over here. A, review and reassign team assignments. Review is good. You don't want to reassign team assignments. Why? If your team member has been given a specific assignment, they have been given that specific assignment for a reason. They know how to handle it. Let's continue. Facilitate communication and team building. I like that, right? You're facilitating. This is principle number 3. You're being a servant leader. Negotiate for new team members. No, all right? We never create friction in our team. So what does that mean, creating friction in the team? Creating friction in the team means that, you're firing them, you're letting them go, you're this, that, and the third, right? Never want to do that. Review and update the communications management plan. Okay, so now we're left with D and we're left with B. Both of them sound like principle number 1. We don't know what the situation is. Let's read the question now. A company is implementing a project with team members located in different countries and time zones. Individual performance is satisfactory, but the team's performance as well as a whole is low, especially in group activities. What should the project manager do? Okay, from the question now, we know that it's not a communications issue, right? In terms of the management plan. Nothing wrong with the management plan. Rather, what we want to do is we want to facilitate communication and the most important thing, team building. Why? Because people are remote. We want to get everyone together. Why? Because the problem is group activities. So B is that solution that completely solves the problem. D might solve a little bit of it, but B completely solves the problem. Awesome. So we're doing really, really well. Okay, let's move on. Question number 8. Now, again, questions might be easy, but again, we're trying to train our mindset. We're trying to recognize patterns. And the best way to do that is to start with easy questions. So you build that foundation and then you're able to apply it. Okay, so request a Scrum team to prioritize the product backlog. Ask the PO to prioritize the backlog with the project team. Okay, I like this. Project team. Project team, why? Because project team are your experts. Your team members are your experts. Principle number 7. You know, any solution, I've seen so many questions to this date. All solutions that I've seen, if the answer includes project team, it's a solution that I've never seen. It's a solution that I always see is the correct answer, right? So obviously read the question. You never want to skip out on that. So B is a good candidate. Call for an internal meeting to discuss the changes and their value. Ooh, okay. B and C, I like it. Discussing. So calling for an internal meeting is discussing. You're discussing the changes and their value. You got the value word. Look at this. Always choose the most value-driven answer. We got to read the question though. Incorporate the changes in the last sprint before the first release. Okay, so let's read the question now. I'm leaning towards B and C based on the mindset. During the third iteration of a project, the product owner requests another mandatory feature. This also happened in the previous 2 sprints, which resulted in failure and caused frustration within the team. Okay. I don't like doing this. Actually, I don't mind doing this, but I'm just going off a little tangent just to teach you guys something. When the sprint starts, what happens to the backlog? The backlog freezes. You don't add anything to it. You don't make any changes at that moment. But what if you have a mandatory feature? Let's say the government comes along and bans a part of the product. What do you do then? You have to. You have no choice now, but you have to go back to the backlog and, for example, in this case, add a mandatory feature. So it's okay in this case for the product owner to add this mandatory feature. Normally it wouldn't be allowed, but it's okay. So what we're going to do now is we're going to lean towards B and we're going to lean towards C. Ask the PO, because the team is frustrated, the team needs a heads up, the team needs to understand. You have 2 players in this situation, the PO and the team. Ask the product owner to prioritize a backlog with the project team, meaning that it's okay. If there is a mandatory feature, it's okay, but involve the project team. C, call for an internal meeting to discuss the changes and their value. That's fine. I don't think it's required. Because if it's mandatory, it's already implied that it's valuable. You need it. Let's see what the people are saying. I'm thinking that people are going to be split between B and C. Exactly, yeah. Most of them said B, and I agree with the responses. Question number 9. So A, performed a scrum of scrums on a regular basis to help the teams remove impediments. Scrum of scrums, let's say you have a big project and you have multiple scrum teams working on multiple subparts of the product, for example. You're going to gather all of them in a big scrum meeting. That's a scrum of scrums. Okay, so I like it. It's a meeting, right? But here's the thing that you have to understand. Having a scrum of scrums on a regular basis is difficult. Having a daily stand-up for each individual group by themselves is fine, but having a huge scrum of scrums is difficult. Anyway, it's still a good solution, right? I don't like the last part though. I'll tell you why. Removing impediments or working towards removing impediments should be done in their individual daily stand-ups, not in the scrum of scrum meetings. Anyways, no principle being violated there. Let's move on. Formed a separate quality assurance team to test all items coming from each team at the end of each sprint. Nothing wrong there, but I'll give you my 2 cents. The team is responsible for this. The team who is building the product is responsible for this, not a separate quality assurance team. When you have a separate team, what does that imply? What does that imply, guys? Extra resources. And we never want to settle for extra costs as well, unless it's really required, right? And this is the beauty of the mindset principles. They're very general, but when you solve enough problems, you start seeing the sub parts of it. Arrange an online session on the integration concept and suggested tools to the teams. Okay. Ensure frequent and continuous integration of work to obtain early feedback and continuous learning. I like this. Every time you have an agile problem and they mention early feedback, I've always seen it as the answer. But anyways, so we have to read this question. 5 agile teams working together on a product recently performed release planning. Midway through the project, each team showed that the progress was on track. When all the teams integrated at the product level, many integration issues were observed. The overall product release progress declined, with predictions showing the committed content will not be accomplished. What should the project manager have done differently? Okay, I'm glad that I read this question. We are now going back in the past. This is one of the types of questions that you can expect. What should the PM have done differently? So we're having integration problems. If we look at D, ensured frequent continuous integration of work to obtain early feedback, that will completely solve the issue. Because if we do it continuously, we can learn what's working and what's not and be better next time around. Okay, as opposed to, for example, arrange an online session and suggested some tools. I would do D first, right? Let's work with D as opposed to getting tools and then having that learning curve and spending more money. Let's work with what we have. All right, awesome. Let's see what the answer is. D, awesome. All right, question number 10. A, ask the team member to learn the new system as on-the-job training. Okay. Issue a change request to extend the project schedule. So we never want to extend the project schedule unless it's absolutely required, but in general, we never settle for delays. Extending the schedule means that we are settling for a delay, or the project schedule is going to be delayed. Escalate, my favorite word. Never want to escalate. 8. Okay. Assign an experienced resource to support the team member. We don't want to spend money. Okay, we don't want to spend money. But there's something off about this answer over here. We don't want to give a team member something to learn as on-the-job training. I'll explain why at the end, but let me read this question. A project team member is having difficulty delivering assigned tasks for a project that is at risk of being delayed. Oh, key information right here. The main issue is that the team member does not understand a new system that was recently implemented. What should the project manager do? Okay. Now, generally, I am someone who always follows this principle that you shouldn't hire an extra resource because it's more money, right? But check this out. Never settle for a delay or extra costs. However, extra costs precede delays. Okay? Meaning what? Meaning that we know that the project is at risk of being delayed. If we don't hire an experienced resource to help out, and if we just wait for this team member to learn the new system, it's a problem because we're already at risk of being delayed. That is why extra cost always comes first if it means that we are going to mitigate a delay. D is going to be the best answer here. This is a very good question, guys. Note this question down, copy paste it or screenshot it. Understand the concept behind it. I almost didn't even, I missed this part, to be honest with you. So exactly. So these people are debating between D and A, but D is going to be the right answer. If this wasn't a part of the picture, then I would choose something else.